been teaching the Ultimate Health Style Challenge for years, and what we really want to do is try to find a way to create some accountability for people, because we'd sit up there, we'd talk, and people would say, oh wow, you did such an amazing lecture, and then we'd ask them, a month later, what did you change? And say, well, I'm getting to it, and nothing really ever changed. And we see the impact that has on people's families, their families, the culture, the lives that everyone surrounding them. Our goal is we really wanted to make a bigger impact within the community. We wanted to see greater changes. We know the impact chiropractic has on people's lives. We know the lives it's changed. We know the lives it saved. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for chiropractic. So, that's something truthfully amazing to me, and I'm so passionate about chiropractic, but we just wanted to be able to offer something that was much more health encompassing. So you guys have probably seen some changes around the office in the last actually probably 6 months. It's almost maybe 9 months now we've been kind of putting all this together. I mean, it's been years they've been working on some of the groundwork of this, but we really wanted to try to find a way to create a way to implement this to make people healthy and actually have impact on their health, because people deserve to be healthy. They just don't necessarily always know how to be healthy. So, also, I'm going to pass the mic over to my wife now, so she can talk a little bit, so I'm not the only one.
It's so good to see so many faces here. I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. I talk in front of you guys all the time, but when there's a mic, it just seems a little more nerve-wracking. But I just thank you. But I am so excited about this and so absolutely passionate about this program. Like Scott said, I taught our Ultimate Health Style Challenge for 7 or 8 years, and I loved the information. But I really got frustrated that I wasn't seeing enough changes in our practice members. And just like Scott said, chiropractic does so much to help people heal and help them thrive in life. But there's so many other aspects of health that really need to be integrated for someone to really express true health. And so I'm really, really excited. I can't wait to introduce you all to Dr. Dane. He's been our mentor for many, many months now. He's been working with us each week trying to put this program together, and it's probably been one of the biggest undertakings, would you say, that we've done. I guess life change. We have the biggest change that we've ever gone through, and especially with having a child and then integrating this, it was an interesting time of our lives. But it was worth it. It's so worth it, and I can tell you, Dr. Dane's going to talk about it tonight, but I've been doing the program myself for about 4 weeks now and have felt such a tremendous change in my life. And you're going to meet another practice member tonight who's been working through the program as well, and we've been working on it as a team, and it is just awesome in what we're seeing with people, and that just makes it so worth it. All of the week, like every weekend, we've been working on this, guys, for months, and it makes it so worth it to see the changes in people's lives. So I'm so excited. I'm going to introduce Dr. Dane. He has been, as I said, like such a mentor to us. And I have to say, like, you guys probably got my letter in January that said that which gets scheduled gets done. That is from Dr. Dane. And he has held us accountable every step of the way to complete this and really be able to reach more people and realize our dream of creating a wellness center. So I'm going to introduce him. He's all the way here from Philadelphia. He's the founder of the ABs to Wellness program and has been doing it for 10 years.
Yes, 11 now.
Okay. So I'm just so pleased that he is here. I want to introduce Dr. Dane Donahue. So please give him your best attention, and thank you guys so much for being here.
Well, I want to start off by saying you guys are absolutely blessed, because I have been working with this great couple for a while now, and I've gotten to know them, and it's nice to be here in Colorado. I was able to text my brother, who lives in Grand Junction. He moved out here, I want to say maybe 25 years ago. He said, hey, Dan, I'm going to go ski for the winter, and he never came home. So now he's married and has kids. And I just want to start off by saying it's very dangerous to put an Irishman this close to a bar. And I was only planning on talking for 45 minutes, but now that the bar's here, we may go 3-4 hours. I don't know. And there's a restroom right here behind me. So, But I really am honored to be here tonight. I literally saw patients this morning, and I've got this time down so good that I can jump on a flight and be here. And some of my patients say, you're doing what? And I'm going to see patients tomorrow, by the way. I'm going to get on a flight early tomorrow morning so I can see my patients tomorrow afternoon. And you may say, why do you do something like that? It's because I absolutely know this program saves lives. And that's why I'm here today. I'm really honored. I love to be in Colorado, by the way. It was very hard for me to drive west on I-70 and see those snow-capped mountains and not keep going to go ski, by the way. But I absolutely love being a chiropractor. And I'm a third-generation chiropractor, by the way. I have 12 members of my family that are chiropractors, including my twin sister. My grandfather and his two brothers were chiropractors. My dad, I have two uncles, cousins that I don't even know. So to say this is a family business is kind of an understatement. We love chiropractic because we believe that your body was meant to be healthy. It was made by God to be healthy. And what we have to do is stop interfering with the process. I believe, and by the way, I'm going to talk about some principles today, and you don't have to believe what I believe, and I'm fine with that. I believe I'm right, okay, and I've devoted my life to this. It's really my passion. If you know, I get up at 5 almost every morning to read for an hour, and I don't read a lot of fiction. My wife does that for me. I like to read about health and wellness and how I can make my patients better. And based on all my reading and my research, my sister and I, my twin sister and I, put this program together. And the reason that we did was because we were in practice for about 10 years. And I've been in practice 23 years. And I knew from the very moment, probably I was 13, 14 years of age, I remember my dad had a home office combination. So we had the office that was attached to the house. And it was two separate entrances. But I used to see and meet my dad's patients all the time. And I'll never forget a guy coming out of his office one time and calling me over. And he said, are you Dr. Dane's son? I said, yes. And he handed me a $100 bill. And my dad's adjustments at the time were $13. And he said, I want you to do me a favor and give this to your father and tell him he doesn't charge enough for what he does. And I'll tell you that, first of all, I went in the house, like I'd never seen a $100 bill. We ate dinner at 5:30. My dad comes up for office hours for dinner. And I said, Dad, this guy gave me $100. And I was thinking I'd get like a 10% finder's fee or something. And but lo and behold, he gives the money back to the guy. But it really impressed upon me. There was something that guy really valued about what my father did. And it was the moment I knew that I wanted to help people. And I love helping people naturally. I believe that we've come to a point in society that it's very difficult to be sick. You know, we'll drive by, 10 fast food restaurants on the way home. You know, Leah said that one of my mottos is that which gets scheduled gets done. And I don't know about you, but we have a lot to get done in a given week, don't we? But there's certain things that I think are just absolutely critical. For me, I try to put my life in perspective. One of the reasons I get up early is to schedule my day and to schedule my week. But, you know, there's a man, Stephen Covey. Anybody ever heard of Stephen Covey, read his books? Everybody has, right? Well, he said that things that matter most should never be at the mercy of things that matter least. Would you guys agree with that? So to me, you know, my relationship with God, really important. My relationship with my wife. I'll be married 20 years this year. And I tell you, I grew up in a divorced household. My dad's been married and divorced twice. I have more members of my family that are divorced than married. So for me, that's saying something, okay, coming from that background. I'm really honored to be married to the woman that I'm married to. She's a blessing in my life, and I work hard at my marriage. I have 2 teenage boys, and if you've had teenagers, you know how difficult that can be, right? I work really hard at my kids. So I try to schedule, when I say that which gets scheduled gets done, I try to schedule the things in my life that matter most. I'm an 80-20 guy, but 80-20 guy, by the way. 80% of the time I do pretty good, but 20% of the time I screw up just like you do, with my diet, with exercise, with some of the things that we're going to talk about. And by the way, I came all the way out here from Philadelphia, and I like to teach. My wife's a teacher, and one of the things, she's an excellent teacher, and I've watched her many times, but one of the things I've learned from my wife about teaching is the best way to teach is to ask questions. And I'll tell you the best thing and the worst thing that can happen tonight. For me, coming all the way from Philadelphia and you committing your time to be here, I'm going to tell you what the worst thing that can happen is. You guys leave here and don't do anything differently. Okay? And then you got a free dinner, and maybe you said, hey, that Dr. Dane guy is kind of a neat guy, right? But then nothing changes about your life. And to me, that would be the worst thing for both of us. Because what that means is I wasted your time and you wasted my time. Okay? And I didn't come all the way here to Colorado. I could have been with my kids and my wife tonight. I came because I know in my heart, I believe in my heart, that somebody will change dramatically as a result of what you learned tonight. So can we all agree that we're going to learn something? And I don't want you to do 10 things differently. Can we all make a moral agreement that we will change one thing about what we learned tonight? Can everybody raise their hand and make that agreement? Okay. So, by the way, that's the best thing that can happen tonight. That you guys do one thing differently that you're not doing. And the things that I'm going to ask you to do are really important. As a matter of fact, I love asking that question. I know the answers I'm going to hear, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. And, you are staring at me so intently, I'm going to start with you. What is your name? Margaret, this is such an easy question. Tell me something that you truly love about your life and love in your life. That's really important. Your voice. I mean, everybody, my kids. Now, it's interesting that Margaret didn't say her husband before her voice, right? That's very common. He's not here, and he's a close second. What's that? She's a mother, of course, right? But that's my point, right? Your kids are very important to you. Somebody else tell me something that you truly value in your life, that you would lay down your life for. Your grandchildren. Who said that? Grandchildren? Yes, absolutely. Right? Lay down in traffic for them. I agree. And I'll talk about that later because that's an important thing to me. I don't have grandkids yet, but I will talk about that. I want to be a grandparent, and I want to be an active grandparent, by the way. See, I believe that, as we age in life, we either become a blessing or a burden, don't we? And I don't want to become a burden to my children financially, and I envision a day where I help my kids raise their kids. And I know I can't do that if I don't have the energy to catch them. Does that make sense? I love to ski, by the way. And I was out here skiing. I actually went to Utah with my son about a month ago, and I rode the chairlift up with a guy who was 79 years old. And I said, sir, you're my hero because I want to be skiing when I'm 79 years old. And you can't ski if you're not relatively healthy, right? So somebody else want to tell me something important in their life that they thought of that wasn't mentioned? Good health. Thank you very much. Usually that's not high on the priority list, but I'm going to tell you, whatever you're thinking, it could be something that you're really committed to, a social cause. It could be your kids, your grandkids. It could be your education. Some of you guys probably spend a lot of time and a lot of money on your education. It could be your relationship with God. There's a lot of things that are important to us, but here's the one thing I know, and this is why I'm here, that none of those things mean anything if you don't have your health, do they? Okay? The word health, to me, is all about energy level. And is there any engineers in the room? Any engineers? Good. So you'll understand this. If you looked up the word energy, how many people, by the way, would like to have more energy? And if you didn't raise your hand, you don't have enough energy to raise your hand. Everybody wants more energy. Yes? Okay? So if you looked up energy in the dictionary, what do you think that it says? Because I've looked it up. Anybody know? It means the capacity to do work. Think about that. The capacity to do work. Doesn't mean you're going to get work done. It just means you have the capacity to do work. So to me, it's a cause and effect relationship. If you have great energy, I mean, come on, guys. We've seen people who are healthy. Don't they have great energy? They have good posture. They have good color. And they get a lot of things done. Yes? So what I'm going to encourage you to do is listen today because I'm going to talk about how you can have better energy naturally. Not because of the Starbucks that's over here. You got a triple shot of whatever you get. And sugar on top of it. I'm talking about natural energy that comes from within. Okay? So I want to talk about a patient. And this patient's best friend was in, ironically, this morning. And this patient, his best friend's name is Jay. And this guy's name was Jeff. And he came to me literally a year ago. And it was April of last year. This is kind of ironic now that I'm thinking about this. And Jay refers in Jeff. And Jay says to me, Dr. Dane, I'm referring a friend of mine in. He's my best friend. We went to college together. And he's coming in for neck pain. Because as chiropractors, what do most people think they need to go to a chiropractor for? Back pain, right? So he has neck pain. But the real reason I'm sending you to him is he needs to do 8 weeks to wellness. So I want you to help him with his neck pain, but I need you to get inside his head. He needs to do the program. So Jeff comes in, and we do something called a wellness score on all of my patients. In my office, guys, you are innocent until proven guilty. Okay? Meaning, you are healthy in my office until I see your numbers. Because numbers don't lie, people do. And what I've come to realize is that people think they're a lot healthier than what they really are, or there's some people that think they're a lot sicker than what they really are. But when I look at your wellness score and look at your numbers, I'm talking about your lab values, your body composition, how you move, your spine, your nervous system. I know everything I need to know as a doctor whether you're healthy or not and what direction that you're going. And I don't know about you guys, but again, thinking about my future, I want to be like fine red wine. I want to actually get better as I age, not like be like a old bottle of wine that becomes stale. Yes? Okay? So Jeff comes in, I do his wellness score. Okay? And I want to show you, and you won't be able to see this, but I'm going to read it to you. And Scott promised me this had a pointer on it somewhere. Oops. That's not it. Okay? So I'm just going to read you his numbers. So Jeff comes in, we do a full evaluation. I do it on all my patients because, like I said, you're innocent until proven guilty. So I'm going to just read you. Jeff came in. Jeff was my height, by the way. Okay? He was 241 pounds. His diastolic pressure, and is that the top number or the bottom number? Anybody know? Bottom. It's the bottom number. Okay? And it's the more important of the two numbers, and I'll tell you why. When your heart contracts, that's your systolic number. When your heart relaxes, that's your diastolic number. And if your heart is relaxed and you have a lot of pressure in your blood vessels, you are in trouble. Everybody capiche on that? So he comes in, normal diastolic is 80. I like to see it around 70 for someone my age. By the way, this guy was my age. Okay? His diastolic was 104. And he was taking a blood pressure medication, by the way. His resting heart rate was 68 beats per minute because of the medication he was taking. His BMI was 35. Now, what does BMI stand for, ladies? You know? All the ladies know. Men, you think it's the bowel movement index. I know. But that's not what it is. It's the body mass index, right? And here's the deal, guys. I don't expect my patients to be perfect because I'm not perfect. My BMI is 26, okay? Anything over 25 is considered overweight. Anything over 30 is considered obese. So when you and I are going to talk is when you get close to 30, because then you can't explain that away. Men who are bigger, who have a lot of muscle mass, they can have a little bit of a larger BMI. Like I had a guy in today, and he said, well, BMI doesn't matter because, when I do my BMI, I'm obese. And I looked at him, I said, no, you're not. I said, what is your height? He gave me his height, and I have a computer right on. I calculated his BMI was 28. I said, you're 28, and he's a healthy guy. I said, you're bigger and you have a lot of muscle, and that's why your BMI is high. This guy's BMI was 35.7, which puts him into what a category? Obese, okay? His waist to hip ratio was 1.04. So what is that? You take your waist measurement, and if you're taking notes, I saw a couple back there with a notepad. I want to commend you. You guys came prepared. I love people like you, right? I don't have a great memory, guys, so if I don't write things down, I have a good memory, I forget a lot. And they say you only retain 10%. Well, that's why we're videotaping tonight. So you can go back and watch this information. So he had a waist, obviously, that was larger than his hips. Good idea, yes or no? No. What's the worst place to carry body fat, by the way? Your belly, okay? We call that VAT. Not fat, it's visceral adipose tissue because it's engulfing your organs, the worst type of fat you can carry on your body. His fat mass was 34%. You guys probably can't see this, but a man his age should not have a body fat percentage over 22. He was 34, okay? And I could go on and on and on, but needless to say, this guy had something called metabolic syndrome. So he comes to my office. I said, listen, Jeff, you not only have a neck problem, you have a serious health problem, okay? And to me, guys, doctor is a Latin word that means teacher. So I'm trying to teach this guy that he needs to take this seriously. And so I said to him, Jeff, I want you to consider doing 8 weeks to wellness. We're doing an orientation on Thursday. We do it every Thursday. I want you to be there. And you know what? He came to the orientation, right? And we sat down afterwards. He said, Doc, I'm in. I want to do the program. He said, the only problem is I own a travel agency. And this is my busiest time of year, okay? I have I specialize in cruises. So this is a busy time for me. So come June or July, I will start the program. Right now, I want to focus on my neck. So I helped him with his neck. He came in for about a month and a half. So now check this out. Jeff and Jay and another patient of mine, who they're all buddies, another guy named Jeff, they all go down for Jay's 50th birthday party down to Florida with their 3 wives. Okay? They go out to dinner one night, and they all come home. They're going to meet at the jacuzzi. So they go up to change to put their bathing suits on. His wife goes in the bathroom. She comes out and finds him dead on the bed. A massive heart attack, sat on the bed, massive heart attack, keeled over on the bed. He was 47 years old. And my patient, Jay, who was in this morning, came in the next week and he said, Dr. Dane, it was the most horrific thing I'd ever had to do. He said, because I was supposed to be there for my 50th birthday, right? Enjoying myself. Not only did this happen, I had to call his 2 children, a 14-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl, and tell them their dad wasn't coming home from Florida. Now, you want to know why I'm here? I'm here because there's no 47-year-old that should depart this world. I am 40, I'll be 46 this year, and I have 2 children. And I cannot imagine somebody having to call my wife and say, guess what, your husband's not coming home. I can't imagine a day that I'm not a part of my children's life or a part of their children's life. So if you really want to know why I'm here today, guys, it's because this is happening far too often in America, and it doesn't have to happen. Agreed? This is my family here. These are my 2 boys. CJ is going, he's actually just decided to go to the University of Pittsburgh, which I'm really happy about. That's my oldest, he's a senior, and that's my younger, he's a freshman, and that's my beautiful wife. And I can't imagine, guys, my children and my wife mean the world to me. And I want to be with them for a long time, and I want to enjoy our time together. And one of the reasons I take good care of myself is because I see a day where I'm going to age. And I look at my life like, my health like a bank account. Man, I'm trying to make as many deposits now as I can because I know when I get older I'm going to make some withdrawals. And I don't want to be overdrawn when I get older. Does that make sense? Everybody, how many people have a health savings account through their work? I look at it differently. A health savings account is where you make deposits, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. And if you make the deposits and you have reserve capacity, can't you afford to come to a place like this and eat pasta and maybe not exercise a day? Because guess what? The day before, maybe you ate good and you did exercise. Does that make sense to everybody? But you cannot make withdrawal after withdrawal after withdrawal all week, and then Monday morning you decide you're going to eat a good breakfast. That doesn't work. We've got the formula switched backwards. We're making way too many withdrawals, which I'll talk about, and not enough deposits. Does that make sense to everybody? So what's the lesson? The lesson is you take action now. Now you have to take action. There is no tomorrow, guys. You have to do it now. There's something called the law of diminishing intent. Has anybody heard it? Okay? Meaning the longer you go between the time you know you need to make a decision and actually making that decision, the less likely you are to make the decision. Does that make sense? Okay? And by the way, we do not make decisions based on logic. Okay? Behavioral neurologists know this. If we did, nobody would smoke, right? Because it is illogical to smoke and give yourself cancer. Yes? Okay, but why do we do it? We do things based on emotion. It feels good, right? Okay? So we got to think better than how we feel. We are human beings. We are the only species on the planet that has something called metacognition. Does anybody know what that is? Are there any psychologists in the room? Metacognition is we're aware of what we're thinking about. God bless you. Okay? We can think about what we think about. An animal would never consciously want to harm itself. Yes? But we can think and say, you know what, this feels good. So I think I'm going to do it anyway. Because you know what? I don't see the cancer. I believe if we had little windows to our body like our teeth, why do we take such good care of our teeth, right? We go to the dentist, we brush, we floss. You know why? Because we see our teeth every single morning. And if you could see your inner body rotting out like your teeth, I believe Americans would take better care of themselves, yes? So check this out, guys. I'm going to ask you a question. Maybe you read that. And be honest with me, okay? How many people in this room would like to live to at least 74 years of age? Raise your hands. Okay? And some of you, is there anybody over 74 here? Awesome. Okay? So you've already made it. You've already made it. Congrats. Let's have a round of applause for those people. All right. So why did I say that? I said that because almost 50% of this room won't make it to the age of 74. And you're all sitting there thinking, well, not me. I'm going to make it. Well, statistically, 50% of the room won't make it to 74. And everybody raised their hand. Now, if I asked you if you wanted to live to 100, maybe not as many hands would go up, okay? Now, next question. How many people in this room, and by the way, when I ask that question, everybody raises their hand. How many people in this room would love to depart this world dying of heart disease, stroke, heart attack, or cancer? Look around the room, okay? There's no sadomasochists in the room, thank God. Nobody raises their hand when I ask that question. You know that over 50% of this room will die of 2 diseases: cardiovascular disease, heart disease, heart attack, stroke, and cancer. 50% of this room. That does not have to happen. How many people, and be honest, how many people believe that you have some sort of control? And trust me, guys, I'm a doctor. I know genetics plays a role in your health. Trust me. But here's the thing with genetics. We have no control over our genetics. Okay? Thank your mom, thank your dad, and move on. But how many people in here do believe there's things that we have control over that can prevent chronic disease? And everybody raises their hand, right? And that's what we're going to talk about. Not the things, again, don't worry about the things you have no control over because you don't have any control over them. Let's focus on what we do have control over, and we do have control over the way we depart this world. I get sad when I see hardworking Americans who come to me and they are completely disabled, mentally, physically, and these are goodwill people that worked their whole life, raised a family, and now it's time finally for them to retire and have, some life. And they don't have, they spent their first half of their life spending their wealth to get health, right? Or their health to get wealth. And now they're trying to spend all that wealth to get their health back. And it doesn't work because they're so overdrawn. You can only take a rubber band so far before it breaks, and then you can't put it back together. Okay? So I told you, think of life like a bank account, guys. Okay? So I want to ask a question. How do you know when we're truly healthy? Because here's the thing is, we know when we're sick, right? By the way, when do you go to the doctor most of the time? When you're what? You're sick or you don't feel good. So I know some of you guys go for checkups, but the checkups are preventative checkups. They're mammograms, they're PSA screenings, they're lab work. You are looking for disease. There's a difference between early detection, guys, and prevention. Does that make sense to everybody? Early detection and prevention. What we're going to talk about today is prevention. So how do we know when we're truly well? A couple things. Okay? Not when you don't have any symptoms. I'll never forget my dad. My dad's a big, burly Irishman. Okay? Great guy. And I never saw the man cry before, growing up. Okay? Imagine never seeing your dad cry. And then one day your dad calls you crying like a baby. You pay attention. And his best friend had just died of a massive heart attack. And the thing I'll never forget, when he said to me, he said, Dane, I just saw him on Thursday. He was fine. But let me tell you something. That man did not get heart disease between Thursday and when he had died on Saturday. Did he? He had heart disease for a long time. And I'm going to ask you a question, and this should wake you up. How long is the average cancer in the body before it becomes diagnosable with a diagnostic test, a mammogram, some sort of a screening? Does anybody know? The average cancer.
7 years.
7 years. Very good. It's 7 years. So when's the best time to start preventing cancer? Wait till it becomes a mass before it's diagnosed? Or do you think the best time is to not get it in the first place? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So I talked about this a little bit early. Is your lack of health becoming a burden to other people? That's not fair. It's not fair that your wife has to take care of you because of your choices, men. I believe that. Right? I love my wife. And I always tell my wife, don't you dare think that you are going to go through this world 20 years without me, baby. Because I'm going to be there every step of the way. Right? You're not going to be pushing me in a wheelchair. We are going through this thing together. Right? And I see so many women, because women are more in touch with their health, who in the latter parts of the year are my mother-in-law is a great example. My father-in-law will be dead for 10 years. This actually was yesterday. And this is a woman who's so healthy, she'll live for another 20 years, I guarantee it. And how sad is it that this woman will have to go through 30 years without her soulmate? And they had a great marriage. My father-in-law was a great guy. Okay? He died of a heart attack. It just shouldn't be that way. Okay? So I want to go over a couple statistics to wake you guys up. You guys know that the U.S. spends more money on healthcare than any other country. Does everybody know that? Do you know how much more we spend? I'm going to ask you a question. Okay? And I don't know if we have door prizes, but maybe we can give away like a massage or something like this. How much is every person in this room spending on health care? And let me preface this by saying it's not health care. I'm talking about sick care, hospital care, anything related to health care or sick care. For every man, woman, and child, how much are you spending this year in 2013? Last year? Somebody want to take a guess per person? 2,800?
15 grand.
15 grand? You guys are kind of, if you average the two, $8,300. Now, let's put that in perspective for a family of 4. That's over $33,000. And why aren't we up in arms? And by the way, that's twice as much as the next closest country. Why are we not up in arms? And I'll tell you why. In 1960, almost 50% of healthcare expenses were directly out of pocket. Meaning we had to pay 50 cents for every dollar we were writing the checks for. We were paying cash. Do you know how much it is now? It's 12%. You only pay 12% of your healthcare expenses. Who pays your health care expenses or your sick care expenses? Your insurance company, the government. And let me ask you something. Do you value something as much when you don't pay for it? Yes or no? Let me tell you something. If that $40,000 bypass and that hospital bill came in the mail and you had to stroke the check for it, you'd be up in arms about it. Does that make sense? So I believe that we need to be more economically, fiscally responsible in our healthcare decisions. You're starting to see it in corporations, guys. I do a lot of corporate wellness presentations. And now corporations are saying, hey, listen, you want to have hypertension? You want to have high BMI? That's fine, but you're going to pay a higher premium than somebody who has a lower BMI. And I believe that's the way it should be. How many people in here get a discount off of their auto insurance because you're a good driver and you don't get tickets? Great. So let's say I'm a bad driver, right, and I get a lot of tickets and I have a high rate, and all of a sudden we're lumped into the same premium. Where now your premium goes up because of my bad behaviors. Is that fair? Yes or no? No. I don't believe it's fair. I believe in personal responsibility. And I believe, listen, I believe people are goodwill. We all make mistakes. We all make bad decisions. But when is it going to stop? It's going to stop when we wake up and say, you know what, this isn't fair. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to my family. It's not fair to my fellow citizens that we're paying so much on health care. 18%, 18 cents of every dollar spent on health care in this country. Okay? And here it is, guys. This is all of the countries in what they call the OECD, and this is where the United States is, over $8,000. These are all the other countries, and this is plotted against life expectancy. So if the United States was like up here in life expectancy, I'd say, okay, well, at least we're getting what we're paying for. You know, yeah, we're paying a lot, but we live the longest. But you know, we're not even in the top 20 for life expectancy. There's countries like Mexico, their life expectancy is about 4 years less than ours, and they spend about $800 per person. Do you see what I'm talking about? Okay. We make up 5% of the world's population, guys. We account for 50% of all the medication use in the world. Is that a discrepancy? I think it is. Do you know that we're only one of 2 countries that allow direct-to-consumer ads? Direct-to-consumer. Us and New Zealand are the only countries that can advertise drugs on TV. Do we see a lot of drug ads on TV? Okay? And now, you know, patients going to the doctor saying, Doc, this is the drug for me. I want the one with the butterfly. I need the blue pill, the purple pill. I need a purple pill because I'm taking a yellow pill and something's not working right. All right? So now, when did we, as consumers, know what medication was? I mean, I thought, isn't that why they're supposed to go to medical school? Do you understand? This has become big business. And let me tell you something. I am not anti-medicine. You know what? My son had an appendix burst. And let me tell you, I had that kid to the hospital so fast and had his appendix out. And the man that performed that surgery, I wrote him the longest, nicest letter because I believe he saved my son's life. There's a time and a place for medicine, guys, but it's not every time and every place, and it's not going to save you. You understand? It's not going to save you when you get older. So what's wellness care? I believe, and again, remember what I said? I said that you don't have to believe what I believe, right? But I believe that we've gotten to a place in society where you need 2 doctors. And the first doctor that you need is a sick doctor. How many people have gotten sick in the last 5 years at some point? Okay? Everybody has. Thank God you have a good doctor who can take care of you. But I also believe you need a good wellness doctor to keep you from getting sick in the first place. So I want to know why, and by the way, 98% of every dollar is spent on sickness care. Only 2% of the money we spend in this country is spent on prevention and lifestyle. I think we got that backwards. At least it should be 50-50, right? If we were investing more time and energy on wellness care, we need to spend more and less time on sickness care. Does everybody agree with that? So remember what I said. I think it's really difficult in our society to stay healthy. You know, my dogs are pretty lucky. And I'll tell you why. Because they eat what I feed them. They don't have choices. And I feed them healthy. Okay? And I want you to envision this. You walk into your best friend's house. They have 2 dogs like I do. And they're pouring Snapple in the dog's water bowl and putting a cheeseburger on the dog's food plate. What do you think about that owner? You may think that owner's a little nuts. I would. Yes? But you walk into that same best friend's house and they're serving that stuff to their kids. You don't think anything. And you know why? Because you're desensitized to it. You've seen it your whole life. Do you understand the context I'm talking about? Why is it not good for the dog, but it's good for the kid? Yes? Okay? So, do you understand my point? I know for a fact, after doing this for so long, guys, that it's very difficult to make change. And if you don't have somebody in your life, like Scott and Leah, who care about you, you know why they wanted you to be here? And I've had many conversations with both of them, because they care about you. That's why. And some of you, they had to beg and plead to get you here. You know why? Because they love you as their patients. I know they do. I love my patients. They pay me, by the way. I really love them. Okay? And let me tell you something. Love to me is a two-part word. Love means that you support somebody, but you challenge them. You understand? My wife is one of the greatest people I'll ever meet. You know why? She doesn't take my bull crap. She's the first woman I ever met in my life that wouldn't take my bull crap. Right? And so I stopped swinging it. Right? And it took me a while. And there was times in our marriage, guys, where it was really difficult for me. Because I grew up in a household where I didn't learn how to be in a great marriage. It's not what I saw. I had to relearn what it was to have a great relationship. You understand? Okay? So, I know what it's like to change. And I know what it's like to be in hard times. Right? But until you take personal responsibility, I had to wake up one day and say, you know what? My marriage is failing because of my decisions and my behavior. And I can blame my wife and I can blame everybody, or I can take personal responsibility. You know what? I went and got help, and it was the best thing that I ever done. And I'm 20 years married in June to the most wonderful woman in the world. And there was a time when we were married about 7 years that we were literally separated. And I think now, looking back, I think, how on earth could I ever want to be apart from this woman? You understand? It's all contextual. It's hard when you're in the situation to look forward and say, hey, you know what? My life could be better. But it could be. It's all a matter of what you choose to do. So let's talk about that. So one of the reasons I created the program was because of that. I recognized, I was giving people advice. They'd come in, they'd get adjusted. I'd say, listen, you need to change your diet. You need to start exercising. You need to start managing your stress and your thought life better. Start meditating, start praying, start doing something. Because what you're thinking about isn't serving you. And people would leave, and they would do nothing. And it really pissed me off, excuse my language. And they come back in with the same problems they left with, right? And insanity to me is doing the same thing over and over and expecting things to be different. And, I grew up with people saying, oh, you're a chiropractor? Once you go to a chiropractor, you have to go for the rest of your life. How many people have heard that? Okay, be careful, because, it's very addicting. Once you go, you have to go for the rest of your life. And I tell patients, no, you don't have to go, you choose to go. And by the way, don't brush your teeth anymore, because once you start brushing, you're going to have to do that for the rest of your life. So you might as well stop right now. And by the way, don't take a shower and don't eat healthy food, because once you start doing that, you're going to get addicted, and you'll have to do that for the rest of your life. It makes no sense. When you put chiropractic and wellness in a medical paradigm and context, it doesn't fit. You understand? You do something because you want to do it, and it makes sense to do. So we put the program together, and I sat down one day with my sister, and I said, Denise, I can't stand this anymore. I have people coming to me with the same complaints. Knee pain, back pain. And I know it's because of their poor health. Their weight, they can't move, they sit all day long. And I can either continue to let people live a lifestyle that's going to make them worse and worse, and I'm like putting a Band-Aid on them so they can feel better for 24 hours until they go back to the same crappy lifestyle, or we can do something about it. And now, it's 10 years later, we have 60 centers that run this program. And I know that I will get a testimonial letter from somebody in this room 8 weeks from now. I know it. Because you'll have decided to take personal responsibility, and you will be amazed at what you can do in 8 weeks when you set your mind to it. Okay, so let's just talk about this. It's really simple. There's 3 things you need to concern yourself with when it comes to your health. Okay? How you move your body, what you put in your pie hole, right, what you're eating, and then what you put in your mind, what you're thinking about. Just those 3 things. And by the way, that's going to determine whether you're moving towards health or whether you're moving away from health. And how many people want to move towards health? Raise your hand. Yeah, you don't want to move. Moving away from health isn't fun. Okay? It's not, doesn't make for a good end of your life. I want everybody in this room to die in a respectable way. Nobody likes to talk about death, but guess what? It's April 15th almost, right? And we all know there's 2 things that are inevitable. Death and taxes, right? So let's just talk about now. Get your taxes in next week, because they're due. And we're all going to die. So why not think about it in the future and say, how do I want to die? Do I want to die like so many do on a gurney? Die with a fistful of medications, I don't know my name, I can't even recognize my kids anymore? That's tragic. It's not the way I believe it's supposed to be. It's not the way I believe God wants it to be. So I want you to know health problems don't discriminate. I bet you there's a lot of intelligent people, more intelligent than me, in this room. But your health doesn't care, because there's a lot of smart people that make a lot of stupid decisions. There's a lot of smart people that are dying way too young. Okay, Jeff was a pretty smart guy as well. Okay, so what's the single biggest determinant? Ladies, you'll know this, I hope. What's the single biggest determinant of how fast we age? Does anybody know? What can I measure on your body that will tell me how fast you're aging? Huh? Not BMI, but it's good. What's that? Not bone density. Another good guess. You're on the right track. What controls your metabolic rate? What burns so many calories on your body? Muscle. You know how many calories muscle burns compared to fat? Almost 6 times as many at rest. So ladies, when you come in my office and you tell me, I'm sorry, Dr. Dane, I'm overweight because I have a slow metabolism. I will tell you yes, because you have no muscle in your body. That's why you have a slow metabolism. Okay? You're over fat and under muscled. And by the way, just because you have a good BMI does not make you healthy. There's a lot of skinny fat people in this world. Okay, their BMI is really good, but they take off all their clothes and look in the mirror. There ain't no muscle there. There's skin and bones. You've got to have muscle on your body. And by the way, there's no quick fix. What's the only way to keep muscle and put muscle on your body? Exercise. Weight-bearing exercise, ladies, not cardio. I don't care how many times you go to spin class. You've got to start lifting things that are heavy, like small children and Volkswagens. I don't care. But start lifting things that are heavier. Okay? Fat. How fast you are gaining fat and losing muscle? Think about it, guys. Think about an older person who's really vibrant and functional. That guy who's skiing. Do you think he has a lot of muscle on his body? You bet. Do you think he has good posture? You bet. You cannot have good posture without good core strength, by the way. Yes? Because I can give you the best adjustment, and Dr. Leah and Dr. Scott can give you the best adjustment. But if you have no core strength, you ain't going to hold that adjustment. Your muscles hold your spine in place. You understand? There's 2 forces working on us. One is the weight of your body, and one is the weight of gravity. And those forces ain't going away. With some of you, those forces are getting bigger and bigger every year. Okay? Here's the trends, guys. Check it out. 1990, and Colorado is one of the best states, by the way. I'm going to do another one in Arkansas, which is one of the worst states if you look at the map. But in 1990, we only had 10 to 15% of the whole United States was over 30 BMI obese. Okay? 2000, now we have 2 new categories, 15 to 25%. 2010, now we're 25 to 30%. We now have more overweight Americans than we do underweight. We have a third of the population that has a BMI over 25, and another third of the population that has a BMI over 30. Okay? And the largest increase is in BMI over 40, which is called morbidly obese, meaning you will die if you do not change. Do you understand? And when you look at healthcare expenditures, you see a rapid spike between 30 and 35, and even a bigger one between 35 and 40. Does that make sense? I always tell my patients, listen guys, I don't care. If you're 28, 29, don't worry about it. But when you start getting up over 30 to 35, your healthcare expenditures are going to go up and your quality of life is going to go down. So you and I are going to have a talk. If you want me to be your doctor, I'm going to love on you. I'm going to support you, and I'll give you the biggest hug in the world. But I will sit you down and challenge you in terms of what you're doing or what you're not doing. And by the way, guys, it comes down to that. Some of you guys aren't doing things you need to do. And some of you guys are doing things that you shouldn't be doing. Okay? It's a start and stop type of thing. How many people have heard of metabolic syndrome? Okay? How many, and be honest with me, because I may ask you if you raise your hand on this one. I know now nobody's going to raise their hand. How many people know for a fact whether they have metabolic syndrome or not? You've been diagnosed by your doctor. Very good. Okay? How many people can tell me 2 of the 5 factors that make up metabolic syndrome?
High blood pressure.
High blood pressure, fantastic. There's 2 non-lab values, blood pressure and waist measurement. It's not even BMI. It's what I talked about, body fat. So if you're taking notes, you want to write this down. If you have a waist measurement over 35 inches for a female, not where you wear your belt, ladies, the widest part of your waist. Men, okay? Look, when guys come in, I measure their waist, I say, you got a 42-inch waist. I wear 36 pants. I'm like, yeah, but the thing hanging over your pants is what I'm measuring. Okay? So 35 inches for a female, 40 inches for a male. Blood pressure, if you're hypertensive, 130 over 85 or greater. And then it's 3 lab values. Okay? All fasting. Fasting glucose over 100. Fasting triglycerides over 150. Okay? And then HDL. Is HDL the good or bad cholesterol? Good. It's the good. High. You want that high. if your HDL is under 40 for a man or under 50 for a woman. If you have 3 of those 5 risk factors, you have metabolic syndrome. Why is it important that every person in this room know that they have it or not? I'll tell you why. Because if you have metabolic syndrome, you're 9 times more likely to be a type 2 diabetic. You are 3.5 times more likely to die of a heart attack or stroke, and you're twice as likely to get a site-specific cancer. Breast, brain, bowel. And how many people are dying site-specific? A lot of people. Okay? So everybody in this room, and I'm amazed that more doctors don't tell their patients whether they have metabolic syndrome. Okay? And this is why I believe. You know why I believe? I believe that healthy people don't make the medical system a lot of money. Okay? Only the sick people do. You know, it costs a lot of money for surgeries and drugs. Some of you guys are paying for it, you know. Okay? Healthy people, nobody's getting rich off of me, I promise you. Unless I fall down or have a skiing accident, you're not making a lot of money off of me. And I want to keep it that way. So I know whether I have metabolic syndrome. And by the way, Jeff had 5 risk factors. Not 1, not 2, not 3. He had all 5. Died at 47 years old. So is everybody, if the one thing you do is to find out whether you have metabolic syndrome this week, guys, you will have done yourself a great service. So can we all agree to that? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Everybody raise it high. You're all committed. Look around. Somebody take a picture real quick. I need to get it. So here it is, guys. Waist circumference. Let's go over it again. Waist circumference over 40 inches for a man, 35 inches for a woman. Triglycerides over 150. Good cholesterol under 40 for a man or under 50 for a woman. 130 over 85 or greater and over 100. Okay? People with metabolic syndrome are at significantly increased risk for developing diabetes, 9 times. Okay? That's not a 90%, that's a 900% increase. Cardiovascular disease, as well as increased mortality from all causes. That's not Dr. Dane saying that, okay? That's not something I pulled out of my rear end on the way here. That's something I got out of the Journal of the American Medical Association, okay? Now let's go over the bright news. They did a study, it was called the EPIC study. Of course, they did this study in Europe. 23,000 people. They evaluated their behaviors. They looked for 4 behaviors. Not smoking, exercise 30 minutes a day, which would be 3.5 hours a week, 30 times 7, right? Keeping their BMI under 30. So they said, listen, we don't care if you're overweight, just don't be obese. And then eating a healthy diet, which they defined as fruits, vegetables, beans, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and limited amounts of meat. So they took the subset out of the 23,000, it was about 4,000 people who fit into this category, and they studied them. And here's what they found out, compared to the rest of the population of people. In those population, 93% of all diabetes was prevented, type 2. Okay? 81% of all heart attacks, 50% of strokes, and 36% of all cancers were prevented. Hello, 8 weeks to wellness. Okay? If I could make a pill, if I was Pfizer or Merck, and I could make a pill that produced these outcomes, how much would you pay for that pill? First of all, would you take it if it was a supplement or a pharmaceutical? You bet your rear end you'd take it. I'd be taking it too. Okay? That pill is called a healthy lifestyle, guys. Capiche? We got problem, we got solution. Metabolic syndrome, and we got a healthy lifestyle. Okay? National Institutes of Health predicted for the first time in recorded history, our children, my children's generation, will not outlive their parents. They expect life expectancy over the next 50 years to go down by 5 years. Why? Our genetics haven't changed in 40 million years. You know what's changed? Our lifestyles have changed. We are now living a lifestyle that is not congruent with our genetics. Does everybody understand that? We are not meant to eat the food that we eat. We are not meant to do this all day long. That's not the way that our body is meant to live. We're meant to be up and moving. You understand? We're not meant to be on Facebook all day. We're actually meant to have face-to-face communication with people. It always drives me nuts. Facebook, what the hell? You're not reading a book. You're not face-to-face with people. Like, who came up with this stupid name? Right? Now check this out, guys. Experts say that nearly 1 in 10 teens have metabolic syndrome, and that over a third of obese teens, which means BMI over 30, have metabolic syndrome. They studied 375 second and third graders and then found that 5% already had metabolic syndrome, and 45%, almost 1 in 2, had 1 or 2 risk factors. These are second and third graders, guys. These are our children. These are our children. What are they going to grow up, and what legacy are we going to leave them? And what kind of disease and ill health are they going to have as a result of the lifestyle they've learned? And I have teenagers. I know they don't do what I tell them to do. They do what they see me do. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? So I'm going to apply through some of this, guys. So let me ask you a question. Can you change? Ann,
Sure.
would you mind standing up? Ann started the program about, what, 4 weeks ago?
4 weeks, exactly.
Okay. So we asked Ann if she would come and speak about the program and some of the changes. So Ann, if you could tell us, this is what I always ask, why you decided to do the program and some of the changes you've seen after 4 weeks. Do you need a mic?
Only if you can. I've been working with Scott and Leah for,
We can talk.
I can manage it if it's even doing anything. Anyway, I've been working with Scott and Leah for over 7 years now. I've enjoyed all the benefits of chiropractic care. I made some improvements in my decision making and lifestyle over that time, but I knew where my stalling points were. It was about food and exercise. I use my body for a living. I clean houses. It's very simple, but I move all the time. I'm fairly accustomed to it, but my body at 50 was feeling a lot different than it did at 30. And the timing was excellent. When I was invited to test drive this program through the office, I felt like it was a huge gift to see how interesting it would be to reshape my body and reinvent my life at this stage. It had meaning, the timing was excellent, and I've never really explored all the components of wellness together. I would say, okay, now I'm going to try protein shakes for a month. And that was a real tank because I was hungry after I'd have a protein shake as a replacement meal. But all of a sudden I'm learning that protein shakes can be snacks. And I needed to have smaller portions with my meals, so giving up the large portions of food that I was accustomed to consuming was a little bit of a challenge for the first few days, but once I'm eating 5 small meals a day, everything's starting to make sense and my body's getting really, really happy. I believe that I managed to drop about 8.5 pounds in the last 4 weeks alone. My posture's improved. I'm outer, but I think what's really amazing is my joints don't hurt. I'm pretty pain tolerant, so I don't whine a lot, and I don't worry if something's sore because I just work my body all day on someone's house and my own to boot, and my 13-year-old son and my dogs. But I really didn't believe that I could feel that ease by letting go of sugar and white carbs and, just portioning things correctly. It's really a shocker for me. I almost didn't want to do it. I didn't want to give up all those foods. I worked in food service for years, and my husband's a chef. Why would I want to give any of it up? Why would I want to give up that extra glass of wine? Well, I did, and it's made a phenomenal difference. I've always been energetic, but what I'm not doing now is asking my body to pay for what my mind and spirit want to do. And that's a really cool thing, because at the end of the day, I have the strength to be a kinder person to myself and others. I can read that book when I used to fall asleep earlier. I'm waking up an hour in the morning earlier than I used to. And I have a lot more mental clarity. So it's been an absolute gift. I'm also working out regularly again. I was for several years, and the program wasn't suiting me. And a year ago, I dumped my workout routine, saying, I'm going to do yoga now. Well, it never happened. So the opportunity to work with a personal trainer with Eva has been absolutely brilliant because my diet's working with it. I'm getting results. I'm not working out and going home and plowing a huge meal and thinking, well, just cancel that out. And my joints are happier, so when I do work out, I don't hurt from the workout as much as I used to. I'm getting great instructions, so a right knee that's always been a trick knee for me and a difficult point is being well cared for through my workouts, and I'm learning how to compensate during my daily activities for that. So what a thrill to have the right instruction and all those pieces coming together. I get a massage, so I just worked out strong and then went to work and I'm feeling a little crunchy. And all of a sudden, Becky is just showing me where my shoulders belong so that I can stand up straight and tall going right into my next workout and not pay for it for the next week. It's remarkable to have all the components working together. I've never treated myself to that. I've never thought about it this way. And now I can just tell you that it feels amazing. And it's only halfway done. I've got 4 more glorious weeks to see what I can do in 2 months' time, and then all the while thinking, how much of this can I preserve in my lifestyle? How much of it can I teach my friends? And we've had so many great conversations driven by this experience alone. And people see the difference. Like, man, you've always looked okay, but hey, what's going on? And we get to have some real conversations, and everyone's winning.
That's awesome. Thank you. And you can pick up your check on the way out. Very much. But I really, and I still haven't personally met Ann, which I want to talk to you after the program. But, you know, a couple things that Ann said that really impressed me. You know, the first thing is she's dropped 8 pounds. Now, I want to tell you something. I have a saying, okay? If you trust the scale, you'll fail. If you look in the mirror, it will be clearer. Okay? Why? Because we are a society, women, ladies, that is driven by the scale, and we need to be driven by the mirror. Here's a homework assignment I want everyone to do. Okay? I want you to take all your clothes off tonight because you're going to anyway at some point. But I want you to get into front of a full-length mirror and take a good, hard look. Okay? Now, if you're Irish like I am, just look from the waist up. It will be fun. Okay? You'll get that joke later, some of you. I'm not. Never mind. Okay? But take a good, hard look. You know, it's funny. I get out of the shower, and my wife and I get ready at the same time in the morning, and I always say the same thing. I'm like, honey, it happened again today. She's like, what? I'm like, I got better looking. Look. It's right there in the mirror. There's the evidence. It's there. I mean, you could wash your clothes off of these things, you know? But you know what? I'm joking, but I am proud of what I see in the mirror. Because you know why? I work hard at it. And one of the things I really got from what you were saying is you've become a role model for your friends. You know, and I get tingles when I think about it. Anytime you get tingles, guys, I feel that's God's way of telling you you're saying something important. And you've become a role model for your friends. You don't want to know why I saw patients this morning? Because I have a patient that came in this morning. She's lost 85 pounds in the last year. She was a complete type 2 diabetic. And you said something else, Ian, that made me think of this woman, Debbie. She was a complete, what she called, bitch to her kids and husband all the time because she was miserable. She was miserable because how she felt, and she was miserable by the way she looked, and she was taking it out on everybody else. She will not walk by my adjusting table on the way to the gym without stopping. And now I see her in the corner of my eye, and I have to stop what I'm doing, and she stands there like this. And I go over and hug her, and she says the same thing every time. This is the man that saved my life. You want to know why I go to work every day? You want to know? I have 60 doctors like the Hans that depend on me to get this right. Because there's not a lot of places like this in the country. There's a lot of Starbucks in town, but there's not a lot of 8 Weeks to Wellness centers. And there's a lot of people that are dying because they don't have people that care as much as these people do. You want to know why I still go to my office? It's because of people like Debbie. It's because of people like Ann. I love to make a difference. When you get up every day, guys, and you feel like your life has a purpose, you'll never work another day in your life, I promise you. There was a time that as a doctor, I had a boat and I had a home and I had all these great things, right? And I wasn't a happy person. That was pre 8 Weeks to Wellness, right? I had an okay marriage. I didn't have a great marriage. I had an okay relationship with my kids. And now I cannot remember the last time I had a depressed day, an angry day. I have angry moments because I have teenagers, right? Okay? But I don't have angry days because you work and your life means something to somebody else and you have a purpose. I promise you, you'll never work another day. And it won't be about the money. And by the way, you'll get paid well because you get paid in direct value, in direct proportion to the value that you create in this world. You want to make a lot of money, you better create a lot of value for other people. You understand? Okay? So I really appreciate that. And I could go and tell you guys other testimonials. I had some other success stories, but there's really no need to because I believe Ann said it all. And the bottom line, guys, is healthier people make better decisions than unhealthy people. It seems really simple. Common sense isn't so common anymore, okay? And it's certainly not common practice. So what are the common practices or behaviors about the program? Now, guys, we are covering a lot of the why. I want you to know that. But, Lady, do you mind grabbing me a manual? Or 8 Weeks to Wellness manual? There's a manual that's going to give you all the how-tos, I promise. And you had to learn all the hows. There are some specific things. This is not, this is a roadmap, guys. And any roadmap, you need to know where you're starting and where you're supposed to finish, and there's got to be a route to get there. We've developed the route. You do not have to think, I promise you. Matter of fact, you are so busy, I don't want you to think. I really just want you to do what we ask you to do, and it's all in this manual. You could read it cover to cover in an hour. It's going to tell you everything you need to do on the program. So I'm not going to go over the specifics of that because Dr. Scott and Dr. Leo will go over that with you, okay? So it's eating healthy, moving healthy, and thinking healthy. So just a couple things on these behaviors, okay? So basically, by the way, guys, there's 5 parts. When Dr. Denise and I sat down and we were creating this program, we said, okay, if we were going to create a program that encompassed everything, and Ann, you said this too, so many programs are one-dimensional. You go exercise, okay? Or you go on protein shakes, as she said, right? You go on the Atkins diet, but you're not exercising. Or you say, you know what, I need to manage my stress. But a good wellness program ties everything together. Does that make sense to everybody? Eating better, moving better, and thinking better. So when we thought about this, we said, well, of course chiropractic has to be the foundation because we're chiropractors. But we also believe that if your spine is not in proper alignment, your nervous system is not in proper shape, it doesn't matter what good food I put in your body. Do you know how many x-rays I look at every day where your spines are absolutely a mess? And you go to a trainer that doesn't know that you have a disc in your lumbar spine that's paper thin, or that you have a degeneration at C5, C6? And we all have it, guys. It's called age. Okay? It happens. But guess what? That distortion creates misalignment. And if you're distorted here, or how many old people are hunkered over, guys? They didn't wake up like that one day, did they? They went from this, to this, to this, to this, to this. Yes? Okay? When's the right time to start working on alignment in our body? Okay? Same thing with cancer, before it becomes bad. Okay? So remember, nutrition. Food is fuel. I don't have to tell you that. The quality and quantity of the food matters. We want you eating real food, by the way. Quality and quantity matters. Portion size, and we want you eating quality proteins, carbs, and fats. We're going to teach you what that is. The biggest bill of goods we've been sold in this country, guys, is that fat is bad for you. Healthy fats are so good for your body. What is your brain made up of? Fat. Okay? What is the cushion around your cells made up of? It's called a cell membrane, made of fat. What are your sex hormones made up of, guys? Everybody say fat. Okay? Why do after a statin, after 3 or 4 years, men have to go in for the purple pill? It's because your sex hormones are made of cholesterol and you don't have any more. Okay? So knowledge is power. Meditation, the only thing I want to say about meditation, guys, is average human being has 60,000 thoughts a day. And here's the bad news. 95% of the thoughts you had today were the same ones that you had yesterday. And the same ones you're going to have tomorrow. And we say, why does my life not change? It's because our thinking doesn't change. Who controls your thoughts? You do. But we let everybody else control what we think about, don't we? You know, one of the reasons I love to read? Because it gives me an opportunity every morning for an hour to think about something that I haven't thought of yet. To read something spiritual, read something powerful that will make a difference in my life. The book, I'll give you a great example of this. When I was struggling in my marriage, and the only person who knows when you're struggling is your mother, by the way, because on the outside, man, everything looked great, right? So I get this book in the mail by my mom, because my mom knows that I love to read. It's called Authentic Happiness. And on the inside cover, it says, "To my son Dane, whom I wish nothing but authentic happiness." I still have the book, right? When your mom sends you a book like that, you read it. And you read it like within a couple days. And that book changed my life. You know why? Because there was a man from the University of Pennsylvania who studied happy people. He said, why do we study sick people, mentally ill people, and try to figure out how to be mentally healthy? Why don't we study healthy people, mentally healthy people, and find out what they're doing right? And as soon as I read that, I'm like, oh, I'm going to like this book. Well, here's the only common denominator with truly happy people. Do you want to know what it is? Because it's not your gender, it's not your age, it's not where you live, and it's not how much money you make, is it? Because there's a lot of wealthy people that are making some poor decisions, commit suicide. You want to know what it is? Because what is? How you think, but specifically. Meaning. Keep going. What else? Purpose. What else? What does that all stem down to? What does it all culminate down to? Service. That people that serve outside their own needs are the happiest people on the planet. And do you know who I was serving the most at that point in my life? Me. I was worried about serving me. Do you understand? And in a moment, my life changed. And I made a conscious decision between me and God that I was going to start serving my wife better and serving my kids better and serving my patients better. And lo and behold, I created 8 Weeks to Wellness within a year. My marriage dramatically improved. My relationship with my kids improved. And you know, the only thing I started doing was focusing on other people, not myself. Does that make sense? I learned that in a book. What if I never read that book? Do you understand? What if you never met Scott and Leah? Do you understand? What you think about is so important, guys. Okay? Massage, let me just tell you something. You're all tight. I can go around and poke muscles and you are all tight. Massage is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We are rigid because of our distortional patterns. Okay? And by the way, massage is the reward you get for a job well done in the training room. Okay? There's a couple kind of really weird guys that don't like massage. I don't get them too much. I don't like people touching them. I don't understand it. We're human beings. We're designed based on the concept of love. Okay? So I hug my patients, by the way. I know you probably find that crazy, but I like to hug my patients. Right? I don't do it for them. I need the hug. Okay? All right? So, do you understand? So massage is just a way to get into the body to work on those muscles that are tight. Fitness, we talked about it, guys, but what we didn't talk about is there's 3 dimensions to fitness that you need to do. And some of you are one-dimensional. It's mobility, strength, and cardio. It's not just cardio, ladies, and it's not just strength men. Here's a good clue that God gave us all. When you die, and we had to do human dissection in chiropractic college, and I promise you this is true, you will become as hard as this table, your body. Okay? So to me, I think God gave us a good clue there. Death is called rigidity. Life is called motion. The better you move, the better you age. Yes? Okay? What can a healthy aging person do? They can squat, they can bend, they can move, they can reach. What is an unhealthy person who's aging? They can't move. So when Ann said, my knee's moving better, I'm great. Because you're squatting better. You got to clean houses. Your livelihood depends on you squatting properly. And by the way, some of you are saying, well, I don't have to squat. Yes, you do. You all have toilets. Okay? You will have to squat almost every single day. And it's really funny. Only in the United States, I went in to see a patient not too long ago. And I had to go to the bathroom. I went into the restroom. And there was a toilet seat that was like 7 feet high on the toilet. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Well, so they just back their rear end up to the toilet. You don't even have to sit down anymore to go to the bathroom, right? I mean, only in America can we make like toilet seats this height, so you don't have to squat anymore. Don't worry about it. You got the remote control in one hand. You don't even have to squat anymore. Okay? And chiropractic. So I want to talk about what's next. All right. So before I do that, I just want to finish up with this. Okay. It's time to wake up, guys. It is absolutely time to wake up. And I believe, I talked about this, it's about service. And I want everybody in this room to recognize that you are either with your health, and you're not doing it consciously, you're either being selfish or selfless. And when I say selfless, I don't mean that you think less of yourself. I just mean that you think of yourself less often. You understand? Okay? Selfish is when somebody else has to take care of you. That's being selfish. And again, you are good-willed people. You're not doing it on purpose. But you have a choice to be selfless or to be selfish. And I'm asking you guys to stop being a burden on yourself. It's bad enough that you're a burden on other people. What about yourself? You deserve to have a good life. So I want everybody in this room to commit to me you're going to do one of 2 things. Number 1, okay, I talked to Dr. Scott and Dr. Lee, and I asked them, and I asked all my doctors, and they didn't know that I was going to ask them. I asked them to give you guys a discount off of the program. And they agreed to give you guys $400 if you sign up tonight, $400 off of the program. Okay? By the way, you're going to have to pay for the program. And you tell me something in your life that you value that didn't cost money. Does it cost money to raise your kids? Yeah. Is it going to cost me a lot of money for my son's education? Yeah. And guess what? It's going to cost you money to get healthy. That's called an investment, not an expense. Okay? So if you sign up tonight, and by the way, I asked them to let me do this. That offer goes away tomorrow. And I'll tell you why. Because it's called procrastination. And procrastination is the thief of your health. Because you'll say, someday. Do you know what the biggest word that prevents people from getting healthy is, guys? You know what the word is? It's called should. You know what? I should be eating better. I should do what Ann did. You know what? I should get that book Dr. Dane talked about. I should know if I have metabolic syndrome. And before you know it, you are shooting all over yourself. Okay? So stop shooting on yourself and go do something different. Sign up for the program. Get your wellness score done. I told everybody in this room you should know if you have metabolic syndrome. Okay? Now the cost of the program in our office is $2,700. You guys are saving over $400. The total cost of the program for everything is going to be about $2,200. I wish it was $200. okay? And some of you guys may have benefits through your insurance in our state. Some patients have benefits that it covers a portion of the program. So you'll find out from Dr. Leah and Dr. Scott and their staff. At the very least, if you leave here and don't sign up for the program, you better sign up for your wellness score. In their office, it's the same charge as my office. A new patient comes into my office, it's $195. For us to do the full evaluation, their x-rays, their wellness score, their BMI, everything that we do to know if they have metabolic syndrome. It's $195. You guys are getting that tonight for $49, okay? $150 off. If you don't do at least that, I don't know what's wrong with you. Everybody in this room has $50 to invest, an hour of their time to find out where they are. And then guess what? You'll know whether you're healthy or not. If you can pass the test, by the way, the wellness score gives you a grade. I love it when I have teachers come in, when they get like a D or an F. I had a teacher a couple weeks ago, she came in, she goes, I never got an F in my life. I'm like, well, you never took my test, okay? So, do you understand? It doesn't matter how educated you are, we're talking about your physiology, okay? And I just would, first of all, guys, it was absolutely a pleasure for me to be here with you tonight and to meet you guys. I love doing these things, if you can't tell. I would love for you guys, if you do the program and have an experience, Dr. Lee and Dr. Scott will give you my email or my address, and I would love to know about your experience. You know, one of the things I love to do is read those letters and hear these testimonials, because it makes me feel like I'm making a difference in this world. You understand? Okay? So I appreciate your time, and I will stay around to answer any questions that you guys may have. But thank you very much, and drive safe home. Anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Because there's no dumb questions, and now's the time. Because tomorrow you'll pay for it. Okay?
What's the program?
Just out of curiosity about the meditation part, is there specific
Yes.
methodologies and techniques?
We use transcendental meditation, and on the program, guys, you get a wellness kit. And the wellness kit has your manual in it, and in the back of the manual is a log. So everything you're doing on the program, guys, it takes 5 minutes to fill out your daily log. Okay, what you're eating, did you do your meditation, did you do your exercise? This is kind of holds you accountable. So the meditation we have is a CD, and we also have it online. You do 10 minutes of daily meditation. Now, guys, I'm a Christian. Some people have a problem with the term meditation. Use prayer, quiet time, okay? Some people call it mind-based stress. I don't care what you call it. It's getting quiet and stop the yammer that goes on in your head. Now, if you could do that to nice music and do it to somebody guiding you through the meditation, it's going to be more effective. But the whole, you know what meditation means in Sanskrit? It means to cultivate. So when you cultivate a garden, what are you doing? You're getting the weeds out of the garden. That's what meditation is, getting the weeds out of your mind, because when you get the weeds out, guess what? Then the flowers grow, don't they? Okay? Does that answer your question? Okay? Anybody else have it? Did somebody ask what's the program? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, so the program consists of 5 components, guys. And what you're doing on the program is you're getting 2 chiropractic adjustments a week. You're getting 2 training sessions with the trainer, where we work on mobility and your specific issues. You're doing 3 20-minute cardio sessions on your own. We want you to do your cardio on your own to save time. Most people have access to a piece of cardio equipment. You guys live in Colorado. You have hills. It's great, okay? But we want you doing cardio where you're ramping your heart rate up and down. The worst way to do cardio is to go for a walk. You want to go for a walk with your spouse? Go for a walk, okay? But that's not cardio. I ask guys, you doing any cardio? Yeah, I'm carrying my gym bag on the golf course. I'm like, yeah, but the only way your heart rate gets up is if you have a double bogey or a birdie, okay? That's not a cardio. You got to get that heart rate up and down. And then as far as the training, guys, it's all about mobility. We will never put a weight in your hand until you can perform an exercise functionally without it. If you can't squat with your own body weight effectively, why would I ever hand you 5 pounds so that you can tear your knee up or your lower back up? You've got to be able to move properly. That's about alignment. So 2 chiropractic adjustments, 2 training sessions, 3 20-minute cardio sessions. You're eating real food. There's 2 supplements you do on the program. One is called omega-3 fish oils. How many people take Levasa? Okay? Anybody take Levasa? You're taking fish oil if you didn't know. Okay? I find it funny now we have a prescription that costs 4 times what the fish oil in my office is, and it's the same darn thing. Okay? So you're taking a good supplement of fish oil, at least 1,000 milligrams a day, and you're doing a meal replacement shake called Ultra Meal. And Ultra Meal, the company we deal with, guys, only deals with doctors. It's pharmaceutical grade nutraceuticals. It's a good, healthy protein, fat, and carbohydrate, all natural, gluten-free. And why do we do that? I would have you eat all of your meals. But you guys are busy. You can't even eat 2 meals a day. Skip breakfast, right? And we want you eating 5 times a day. So if 2 of those can be a quick, plain coconut or plain almond milk or water, 2 scoops, shake it up. You get a blender bottle with a steel whisk on the program, guys, and drink it. Have it for breakfast if you're not a breakfast person. But then we're going to teach you how to eat properly. One of the great things, Ann, is after 8 weeks, you're going to have habits that will last with you for the rest of your life. You understand? 8 weeks. Why do we do 8 weeks? Because you can do anything for 8 weeks. So I told you to eat sand. You'd eat sand if you thought women you could drop 20 pounds. Okay? So 8 weeks, but what it shows you is what you can do after 8 weeks. And then that's when you develop a habit. A habit takes, by the way, guys, research shows a habit takes how long? About 3 weeks, right? So now we give you 8 weeks. You're really in the habit of doing this. But by the way, you need that wellness doctor, that support, right? I've seen people go away from the program. Everybody needs a coach, guys. All the best of the best have coaches. Why wouldn't we need a coach for our health? Do you think you're going to learn this in the hospital? Okay? And you don't want to learn it the hard way. You don't want to learn it the way Jeff, what would Jeff and his wife give to do this program now? Do you understand? I'm telling you, when people come in now, like Jeff, and they have metabolic syndrome, I don't give them a choice. I say, if I'm going to be your doctor, you're going to do this program. If you don't want me to be your doctor, I'll find you a new chiropractor. But I cannot ethically and morally let you go on and not do something about your metabolic syndrome. Because I will never have another Jeff in my office again. I met his children and his wife. Okay? And I'm never going to look at another woman or kids in the eye if I could have done something. I don't take personal responsibility, but you know what? I could have been a little bit stronger with him, okay, to lead him in the right direction. Okay, so you're doing the meditation, you're doing the chiropractic, the exercise, you're doing your diet, and you get 1 full body, 1 hour massage per week. Okay? Just lay there and enjoy it. It's really nice. Okay? That's what you do on the program. Did I answer your question? Okay, and if you really want to know, guys, before you leave, just check out the manual. It's all in here. And by the way, we have great things in here, recipes, guys, just all kinds of helpful things in the manual. We've revised this 7 times over the 11 years that we've done the program, because now we have 60 doctors and patients that are giving us feedback, so we've been able to modify things to make it even better. And that's the wonderful thing about this program. Any other questions? No?
Some of the things are soy-based, and I've heard that soy is bad for
It's a great point, okay? And here's the thing about soy, guys. Soy comes in 2 varieties, GMO soy and non-GMO. What does GMO stand for? Okay, and that's Monsanto. How many people have heard of Monsanto? All of the research on the negative effects of soy being a phytoestrogen in breast cancer has been done on GMO soy, okay? One of the lowest incidents of breast cancer in a people is Japanese, and they eat a lot of soy, but they're eating natural soy, not genetically modified. So in Ultrameal, it is a soy-based protein. By the way, if you're a woman and you have concerns about soy, there's a rice-based and a whey-based. So I tell, by the way, I've been taking the Ultrameal for 11 years now, and I don't have breasts. Okay? Well, you understand? So I believe it's a safe product. I have all the research if you want to read it. It's non-GMO soy that we use in the Ultrameal.
I'm told that like soy milk and edamame are more dangerous than tofu and soy sauce because those have been fermented.
You're absolutely right. And by the way, if you're drinking soy milk, stop, because it's all GMO soy that they use in that. Okay? Edamame, it really depends on where they farm their soybeans. But you're absolutely right. Most fermented products, by the way, guys, are much better for you than unfermented. That's why Greek yogurt and cottage cheese, much better a choice. Okay? And by the way, these are the things you'll learn. Like oatmeal. Let's just take oatmeal. How many people think oatmeal is good for you? Okay? If you tear open your oatmeal, I promise you it's not good for you. Okay? Oatmeal, we take the fiber out of everything. We process the hell out of it. Why? So you can cook it in 30 seconds. Because you don't have the time to cook it for 5 minutes. My oatmeal takes me 20 minutes to cook. I just get up a little bit earlier. Okay? So you've got to learn. Most oatmeal has way too much sugar in it. It has no fiber. Why? By the way, why is, and this is for another hour massage, why is fiber so important to your diet? Does anybody know?
Moves everything through.
Yes, that's a good reason, but not the one I was thinking of. But you're absolutely right. Fiber is like the scrubbing bubbles of your colon. Okay? But it does something even more important. It lowers your blood pressure. That's a indirect cause of what I'm about to tell you. It regulates your insulin and your blood sugar. Okay? And here's why. When you take the wheat and you break it open and you get the germ, that's where the glucose and the sugar is. Okay? When you eat a whole grain, your body has to break that fiber, and it takes time to break off the shell to get to the part that's going to spike your insulin. Okay? If I take that shell off and take the fiber out of it, and by the way, guys, I don't care what the package looks like, because most products, there's actually more fiber in the packaging than there is in the product. Okay? If it's brown, I don't care if it has sprouts coming out of the bag. You've got to learn to read labels. One of the things we teach you on the program, how do you read a food label? When I used to grocery shop with my kids, they'd be 4 years old, I'd hand them a food, and I'd say, Shane, can we put this in our cart? And he'd look at me and say, no. And I say, why? He says, it has hydrogenated oils in it. And it was always great to see the people walking by like, what the hell is wrong with that crap? Right? But he knew, because his dad taught him, if you read the label and it says hydrogenated or high fructose corn syrup, or you can't pronounce it, we're not going to put it in the cart. So if a 4-year-old can read food labels, you guys can learn to read them too. And one of the things you want to look for is carbohydrates and net carbohydrates. When you look at your oatmeal tomorrow morning, I want you to look at how many grams of carbohydrates, and the next line item is how many grams of fiber. You take the grams of carbohydrates, you subtract the grams of fiber. If you are over 40 grams still of carbohydrate, your insulin is going way up. It's getting jacked up, and you're going to have a problem. Okay? Got to get the fiber back into your food. If you're eating carbohydrates, then I'll have at least 5, 10 grams for oatmeal cereal. Okay? And we give you all, I'll tell you what the cereals are. Uncle Sam's. There's not a lot of cereals. You know, we've gone to really more of a paleo-based diet where we're trying to get the grains out of your diet, guys. Because the grains are what's that?
Bob's Red Mill.
Bob, I love Bob. That's the kind of oatmeal I buy. Okay? I love Bob's. Okay? Bob and I are like this. I've never met him. Okay? But that's the kind where I buy Irish, the steel cut oats. Okay? This from Dr. Scott and Dr. Lay. Okay? Any other questions, like pressing questions? Okay? No? All right, guys. Travel safe home.